Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And some of you probably thought about starting your very own sports podcast. Well, let me help you out. I want to tell you a little bit about Anchor. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's an easy way to make a podcast, and it's free. You don't have to worry about paying a bunch of money each month. There are creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So it can be heard on apps like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So go to anchorfm.com and start your very own podcast today. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
One more time.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And on the State of the Saints podcast, we're going to be talking about Michael Thomas. Now, some of you probably already know that Michael Thomas found his way into the news, and it had a lot to do with a little bit of a beef between he and wide receiver Devontae Parker, the wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins. Now, it all started because of a question that was circling online, and the question was, which is tougher? A, make a catch while guarding or being guarded by Stephon Gilmore, or B, break up a pass while guarding Michael Thomas. So Devontae Parker decided to answer, and he said A, to make a catch while being guarded by Stephon Gilmore. Now, in a way, I kind of understand that because, you know, they're in the same division, the Dolphins, and Stephon Gilmore with the Patriots. So he knows, you know, about Stephon Gilmore and how tough it is to play him. So, you know, Michael Thomas took offense to this. Michael Thomas went in and said, honestly, you know, I've been past you. You've been in the league longer than me, and you're a first rounder, and I ain't even a first rounder. And Devontae Parker said, well, man, what you mad for? You know, if I got 300 catches, then I probably would have the same numbers as you. And, you know, that particular comment triggered all of the members of the NFC South that just don't like Michael Thomas, especially those that love that team and Julio Jones. And, you know, of course, they want to bash Michael Thomas and say stuff like he's not that good. Oh, he's benefiting on Drew Brees. Or he gets thrown the ball 1,000,000 times a game. He doesn't run deep routes. I mean, everything is just, you know, underneath and 5-yard routes. So I just want to talk a little bit about why I feel like if you don't think that Michael Thomas is top 3 or the best wide receiver in the National Football League today, you are the biggest idiot I ever seen. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. You are an idiot. Okay, if you don't think that this guy is a top 3 or say the least the best wide receiver in the National Football League. Now, I'm not one of those people that just want to roll for the team. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm a Saints fan, so I'm going to support Michael Thomas. Anybody that knows me, you know that I am very critical of the New Orleans Saints. I have no problem with going at players if they don't play well, if they're not that good, I don't feel like they're up to snuff. I have no problem with letting anybody know. So that's for all the people that just checked out this video for the first time and just think that I'm being a homer. I am basically just going to go on stats, and I'm just going to basically go on realism, okay? Not none of that fake stuff, not none of the stuff that happened way back in the day and we digging in the crates. I'm talking about today. Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the NFL, in my opinion, or at least top 2. The only person that you can say is possibly better than Michael Thomas is DeAndre Hopkins. And the reason why I say that is because DeAndre Hopkins, year in, year out, has put up really great numbers. And for the exception of now, over the past few years, but he plays for Arizona, but over the past few years, he had Deshaun Watson. The Houston Texans were quarterback by committee, and he still was putting up big numbers. So if anybody was talking about, Hopkins, then I'd be like, okay, man, now we have an argument. But when we're talking about people like Devontae Parker, when we're talking about people like Julio Jones, right now, I feel like Michael Thomas is better than those guys. Now, for some of those that are saying, well, he gets targeted more times than any of those guys. Basically, what you're doing is justifying why he is so great. Why he is one of the best, if not the best wide receivers in all of football. You basically are destroying your own argument. Why, you ask? It's simple. Because if he is the number one primary receiver on the team, that means that he is getting double covered, even triple covered in some cases. And he is still putting up big numbers. He still had 149 catches. Everybody in the building knew when the Saints get off the bus, they're going to try to throw the ball to Michael Thomas. And yet no team could stop that. Okay? Now, you have other people like Julio Jones, who has Calvin Ridley. You had Devontae Parker for a while. He had Kenny Stills, and he had a couple more, receivers. Now he has Mike Gesicki, the tight end. So he has other guys that he can actually feed off of. Michael Thomas doesn't have that. So if Julio Jones is not eating, Calvin Ridley can. If Michael Thomas don't eat, then the Saints basically don't even have a passing game. And another thing, for all those saying that he is being force-fed the football. Drew Brees does not force-feed anybody the football. If you watch Saints football, you would know that. Drew Brees will throw it to the cotton candy man if he's open. Okay? It does not matter. Drew Brees throws to the open receiver. And for those saying that, all he run is intermediate routes, once again, you are destroying your own argument. Okay? Because if he's slow and he's running 5-yard routes, that's giving cornerbacks opportunities to jam him. So if he is running 5-yard routes and we know that the cornerback got at least 5 yards to jam the wide receiver, how is it that he is catching the ball after 5 yards? I will tell you that because he is getting separation. So you can't say that he is not doing a good job because the cornerbacks, that's kind of playing into their hands. If it was after 10 yards, like, Julio running a streak route, then, he blowing past him. But Michael Thomas has to get physical to get open. Not to mention, he is slower than both of the guys that I named. He is slower than Julio. He is slower than Devontae Parker. So the man basically is eating off 5-yard routes because he is getting separation, which is the toughest, versus somebody like Julio who runs a 4.3 that can blow past you. That makes absolutely no sense. So I say that to say this. You have to really think before you make an argument like this. Because I get so sick and tired of people saying, he don't run deep routes. That does not justify your greatness. You look at some of the players, the wide receiver position in Canton. Most of the guys in Canton don't run 4.2, 4.3 speed. They had to make it off of their route running ability to be able to run the 10 and in, to run the skinny post, to run the out route, to run the dig route. So that would put those guys in Canton with a gold jacket on. Guys running 4.2 and 4.3 doesn't justify the fact that they are the best. Michael Thomas is the best because his numbers show it. He has more adversity than most of these wide receivers because he's the only wide receiver really on his team that's producing. And most importantly, he's not the fastest. Okay? He is not the fastest of the ones that you name. So put that all together. You have a guy who came into the league with little to no fanfare. Nobody really thought that he was going to be anything. he basically pulled himself up by his bootstraps and bust his tail to become the absolute best. I have never seen Julio Jones as an offensive player of the year. Never seen that. Didn't see Julio Jones putting up those type of numbers in Atlanta that Michael Thomas put up over the past 4 years with the New Orleans Saints. So I'm saying that because Michael Thomas has earned the right to say that he is the best, and he's definitely earned the right to talk a little ish every now and then. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about Michael Thomas? What do you think about Michael Thomas being one of the best wide receivers in football? And what do you think about some of these critics out here that's saying that he's not? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Also, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?